Okay, so before I talk about Violet Evergarden Episode 5, let's talk about the elephant in the room real quick. So earlier this morning, when I uploaded my One Piece video, I saw a couple of comments saying, Chibi, when you wear that beanie, it looks like you're terminally ill or something. And I'm just gonna say right now, guys, chill, okay? Okay? Just chill. Let a man wear his beanie. Anyways, let's talk about episode 5. So, to summarize this episode, it is a political marriage. That is the theme of this episode. Now, if you are a fan of political marriages, like episodes revolving around political marriages, then you're gonna like this episode. But if you don't like political marriages and stuff like that, then obviously, you're gonna hate the episode or kind of distaste the episode. Now, this episode definitely shows a lot of progress that Violet has made as a character since the series first begun. Every single episode, we've been seeing how people have been changing Violet. You know, how people are interacting with Violet, how they view Violet, and how she is slowly changing and overcoming certain things as the series progresses. Regardless of people not liking the filler anime original stuff, which, in my opinion, it really makes the series and makes it a lot better. But I'm not going to tackle that because I tackled it in my last video of Violet Evergarden. So, Violet in this episode, we get to actually firsthand see that she has gotten a lot better at writing love letters. Now, the reason for this, obviously, is because she has been reading a lot of romance novels and stuff like that. So she's been analyzing romance, series. And so because of that, she's picked up a thing or two of what, people say back and forth to each other, and that is how she's able to write the letters like she did in this episode. Now, just because she can write beautiful letters now doesn't automatically mean that she understands the words she's writing. That's a completely different thing. You could say, like, certain words, but it doesn't mean you understand the meaning of them, the full context of what those words really mean in that full sentence, and that's basically what I want to pull from this. Even though Violet obviously has improved as a doll, she has gotten a lot better, she definitely is still trying to figure out what love truly means and other emotions that she's trying to express. We do get to see her express a smile and happiness in this episode, which was a very different thing we haven't seen yet, is showing that she's finally starting to have emotions instead of just being like a doll, a machine that just, moves and does her job, and that's basically it. She's able to do things without people telling her what to do. For instance, in this episode, you get to see how there's an exchange between, the political parties, the people on each side, for instance, the princess and the prince. And the entire point of this marriage is basically a political marriage to make it to where the war will stop, there'll be no war, and basically to make it to where both countries are at peace. That's kind of what's going on, the main concept of this episode. And so Violet was sent in to, give a letter to the prince and write it for the princess. And as it progressed, basically, it showed that Violet was really good at, writing these letters, but the princess was upset. And the reason why she was upset was because she realized that she actually wanted to love the prince. Like, she actually liked the prince, which was very different from what I expected, because normally, in this type of cliche, you would have it to where the female character, the male character, they wouldn't want to marry the other individual, and it would just be a big dramatic, thing throughout the episode, or arc. And I was very surprised to find out that the princess actually, in fact, did love the prince and wanted to be with him. Just the only reason why she was so reluctant and not wanting to be with him at first, in the first part of this episode, was because she didn't really know how he felt. She didn't know if he actually really liked her in the first place. And so that's why she was getting upset with Violet's letters, is because not because she was bad at it, it's just because the emotions between the two individuals weren't getting there. Because this does make a lot of sense, and we probably haven't really thought about this a lot when it comes to Violet Evergarden. We've been noticing that, Violet and the other dolls, they basically have been writing letters to send to other people. But in reality, if someone is having someone else write a letter, it's not truly their feelings, their own words. They're having someone else put words down. And so she was upset that the letters coming in from the prince, in fact, was not from the prince, it was from someone else writing the letters, and vice versa. She was upset because she wasn't the one really writing the letters, and Violet was the one writing them, sending them to the prince. So they didn't really have any conversation going on. Mainly the entire exchange of letters at the start of the episode was just more of a political means, and that was basically it. Just saying, hey, we're getting married, we're going to be princess and, prince coming together and all that to settle and make, both countries at peace. That's basically what they were doing, but but there was no love at all between them. Eventually, Violet goes out of her way and decides to say, look, I want to step out of line, and I am going to do something that might cause some problems, but at the same time, I want to do it. This shows that Violet has developed quite a bit. How she went out of her way to actually speak to the other doll that was handling the prince's letters, because this lets us know that she wasn't ordered to do that, she wasn't forced to do that, she just straight up decided to get this idea and go speak to the other doll. That shows progression, because let's back up to the first episode. As we remember, Violet, she actually didn't even eat. Like, she would just sit there and not even eat food that was placed in front of her until someone told her it was okay, she can eat the food. So it just shows that she has become aware to where she can do what she wants now. She's becoming a little bit more aggressive with her decisions, and she's not necessarily looking for someone to tell her she can do this. So, like I said, development, character development going on that we're seeing there. But, getting right into it, though, eventually the love letters turn into more of a love letter exchange. Like, they actually start writing to each other without using dolls, and it makes it where they're able to get their feelings across. Now, this entire, little thing going on with the letters, it was public knowledge. Everybody got to see it, but at the same time, it allowed the entire populace to actually see how these two individuals are for the first time, how they really are behind closed doors. And it was a very sweet and cute little exchange between the two, basically expressing their feelings. It's like what you would see typically from, like, a romance series, so there's not really much to dive into when it comes to that scene. But at the end of the day, though, it was kind of like Violet, instead of writing someone's letters, she actually managed to make two people come together and fall in love, which is very ironic when you think about Violet as a character, because she has no knowledge of love. Like, she really doesn't understand it, and so she managed to make two people that obviously they were kind of iffy about each other come together, love each other, but she can't even do that with herself. She couldn't even do it to the person that, loved her. That is what I find very fascinating about this episode, and ironic from Violet's character towards the end. Now, that's basically it. That's the entire concept of the episode. It's a very simplistic episode, but it's fun nonetheless. Now, there is a final scene at the end of the episode where this dude with black hair pops up. If I'm correct, he is the brother of Gil, the person that, Violet, loved or cared about a lot. Well, she doesn't necessarily love him because she hasn't stated, but it's obvious, she probably does. But, I mean, I believe that dude is Gil's brother? I believe so. If I'm wrong there, correct me in the comments below. But the dude has a history with Violet, and Violet's hands are completely stained. For instance, she has ended a lot of lives, even though she managed to put two people together in this episode. So, it's very weird. Also, that's a very ironic thing, too, because Violet, like I said, she's ended so many things, ended so many people's lives, but she is able to put people together as well once all of that's said and done, and he's a little bit disturbed by that. Now, that's pretty much it when it comes to the episode. That's basically set up for, next week's episode of Violet Evergarden. So, the last thing to dive into, let's talk about Violet's age. So, Violet is apparently 14 years old. Wait, what? Like, yeah, she's 14 years old. And as soon as I saw that, I'm like, no. Like, please don't. Like, please, come on now. Come on now, Japan. Come on, KyoAni. Don't do this. Like, okay, look, I understand the princess being 14 and the guy being 24. It's a political marriage. It's between a prince and a princess. This is set in place in, like, ancient times, like, a little bit older times, and, traditions and all that, and culture reasons, it's very different. And so, I can't really put down the prince and princess coming together, even though their ages are very different. That's a common thing you see, especially in that day and age. Not just in literature, but even in real life, that happened all the time. So, that's not something I'm putting down. However, Violet, she's age 14, and when you look at her character design and everything about her, she doesn't look 14. She doesn't. She looks like 18, 20 years old. And so, I'm like, are you serious right now? Like, KyoAni, please, why? Why would you make Violet 14 years old? Now, obviously, from the exchange of dialogue, maybe Violet is unaware of how old she is. Maybe she just said 14 because, that's the only thing she could really think of at this time, because that's, when she finally got told, like, it was her birthday for the first time. So maybe that's when she's been counting. So she could be older than 14, but just, like, the way she stated, I'm like, oh, no, please don't do this to me. Please don't do this to me. So, yeah, I just want to point that out, but that's pretty much it. So let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a new video, please click the bell icon down below. So with that, be safe, have a wonderful day or night, be healthy, stay warm, Chibi out.